So scared of your hair because you want it to be on fleek, but it's gonna be on geek. Okay. Hey guys, and welcome back to Donica and Shelby Read. I'm Donica.
And I'm Shelby.
Today we are going to be getting into our first ever book talk, and it will be over The Silent Patient by Michaelides. That's how I'm gonna say his name.
We're very excited because we have our new mics on, so hopefully our sound quality is improved. It's really nice. After our microphone incident that happened last video, it's so good to have these so that we don't have to worry.
The moment you saw my sister's face just die, everything died inside when she realized she had put the mic next to the crackling candle. It was so funny. She was just like, can see.
Yeah.
It was our first video. I think we're only gonna get better from here. I'm optimistic.
And what did we say? If you want perfection,
this ain't it, sis. So like we put in the down bar of our last video, this is the book that we decided on. We did read through chapter 22, so halfway through. So like all of our book talks, they're all gonna be spoiler discussions, obviously, because we're gonna get into our thoughts. So it's definitely a spoiler book discussion. We will do a more non-spoiler review in our January wrap-ups. Definitely this is a spoiler video. If you don't want to ruin it, go on and click out, get the book, and join us back when you've read halfway through. But let's continue on.
here we have, like we said, The Silent Patient. The book is told from a psychotherapist's point of view. Like Donica actually said in the last video, it really is about this seemingly normal artist who just one day kills her husband, and everybody's trying to figure out why she did it, and it's even harder because she refuses to talk. So we're following a psychotherapist named Theo. Were you pronouncing it Theo? I was hearing it Theo in my head.
I've been saying Theo.
He's a psychotherapist who became a psychotherapist because he had a really great therapist in his life, Ruth. Growing up, he had a very troubled childhood, he had a very troubled upbringing, and so this inspired him to become a psychotherapist. So when he hears about this artist, her name's Alicia, when he hears about Alicia, he is super intrigued. He essentially wants to get to the bottom of it. He wants to figure out why she's not talking. He wants to figure out why she killed her husband, and ultimately, I would say he wants to save her.
Definitely. I think he, as a broken human being, looks at her like everyone's given up on her, which essentially they have. When he meets her for the first time, she's heavily medicated, and that's the first thing he's like, that needs to go, because how can we save her when she's drugged up?
Yeah.
So definitely I think he saw a lot of himself in her. And like you said, Ruth saved him. He had someone that loved him through it, so.
Yeah, and that's as far as we've gotten. Like Donica said, we've only read through half of the book, and we have not read any more. So you're going to be seeing our reactions. If you've read through this book, you'll see that. Well, you'll see whether we're right or wrong, but
we're just two normal girls looking into this and just kind of trying to figure it out, you know, just like you would. So if you're looking for some deeper meaning, something really interesting that I love when books do this. So you are reading from Alicia Berenson's diary, which, here's the tea, where's the diary? You know, someone has this diary. Where is the diary? Her husband gifts it to her because she's having some emotional problems, issues. So he's like, write things down, which is also, that is a very sweet, and you know, when you see your partner going through things, write stuff down. It's a great way of coping sometimes. She starts writing about a month before she murders him. And as we're going through the chapters, just a couple of chapters, maybe one chapter will be part of her diary, and then you're back into Theo's perspective, and he's writing it from his own perspective. So in these books, like they always say, it's like an unreliable person telling the story. Like we can only believe what they're telling us. Like you said, like we can only believe what the author is saying, but also we can only believe what Alicia is telling us, or Theo, because it's from their perspective. I don't know. I guess I'm always looking for the character is schizophrenic or something. I just love when books have diaries. But also, I was thinking, where is this diary? Whoever has this diary, well, they did it, obviously, because she's spilling some tea in this diary.
So you don't think Alicia did it?
Well, let's continue. Did you look into, I know Theo looks into it eventually, but did you look into the story of Alcestis by Euripides? Did you look into it?
I didn't even think about it until...
Okay, so this is pretty interesting. I think this is a big part of the book, and he does touch on it, but I do just want to tell you about it. But actually, Alex Michaelides, the author, he is of Greek descent, and he went to school to be a screenwriter. So sometimes as I'm reading it, do you think, oh, this would be an amazing movie? I will always tell this story. Greek mythology is my #1 favorite. I love to read about books where, like, YA, I used to be really into YA, where the main character is secretly a Greek god, or there's Greek gods involved. And I love just Greek mythology, reading about it in general. It's so interesting. And I'll never forget, I think it was 4th or 5th grade, probably 5th, closer to junior high. I had a teacher, her name was Mrs. Lawrence, and she was an English teacher, and she was advanced English, I believe. In her class, we had to do an essay on a Greek god, and I picked Athena. She was my Greek goddess, and we got to have a toga party at the end of the year. I mean, we were fully clothed. We got to wrap ourselves up with our little white sheet, and then we all had like little faux leaf halos on our head. And my mom, who my sister can attest,
she went off.
She really does that. Whenever we had a project, I remember a bug project where we were like almost traveling the country getting bugs. Like, she found this owl. Now I remember it was not a stuffed owl. I don't know where she found this owl. It was just a little faux solid owl, I mean, with feathers. And anyway, I somehow adhered it to my shoulder because Athena's the goddess of wisdom, and I had a little owl on my shoulder. Sidebar, but teachers really impact you, because I have loved Greek mythology since that. And I know it wasn't writing that essay, which it was interesting, but it was that toga party and just like becoming the goddess. Anyway, before you even get to the name of the book, The Silent Patient, it just says, but why does she not speak? And it says Euripides Alcestis. So of course I'm like, let me find out. Euripides was an actual Greek playwright. So this was his play that he wrote. And he was really good too. Alcestis is the name of the play. So Zeus got mad at Apollo and kicked him out of Olympus for a year and a day. He had to come down, and for that year and a day, there was a king, and his name was Admetus. And he was known all across the land as being super hospitable. And that was just his thing. Like, he knew he was a great host. He took a lot of pride in it. So when Apollo got exiled, he stayed with King Admetus. Well, Apollo enjoyed his time with him so much that he tricked the fates, got them drunk, and got them to agree to let Admetus live forever. But the catch was someone had to die in his place, and then he was immortal. Well, he went to his mom, and he went to his dad, and everyone around him, and everyone was like, no, you cray. Eventually his wife, who loved him just so much, was like, I'll die for you. Well, her name was Alcestis. In return for dying for him, she told him, gave him rules, and was like, you have to mourn for basically forever. You cannot remarry. Don't get a stepmom to watch over our kids. Like, basically, don't ever be happy again. And he's like, okay, like, I'll do it, you know? So I put, mind you, he's immortal. So he's agreeing to, for the rest of eternity, be sad. After his wife dies, a Greek hero named Heracles, it's not Hercules, because I was like, Hercules? No. A Greek hero named Heracles arrives to the palace, and this was like right after Alcestis died. And the king was like, I cannot, because he's known for being a good host, he's like, I can't turn him away. Well, at the time, it was a big faux pas to accept someone in when death had been at your home. So he's like, I'm not going to tell Heracles that my wife died. Because, you know, so Heracles gets there, and he's like, ooh, let's have a good time, let's party. So already, the wife had just died, and the king was like, already drinking. And, well, the servants in the house loved Alcestis. And so they were like, this is wrong. She just died. So they told Heracles, and Heracles, mind just as a big faux pas, he's ashamed and embarrassed, and is like, oh, this is bad. Like, I can't believe I was just celebrating and reveling, and your wife just died. I'm in her house. So he goes down to Hades and brings her back up, and he saves her. And he's like, there, we're even, you know, I'm sorry, my bad, I was partying in your house and you had died, that's wrong. So he saves her. So basically, from what all I could tell, you know, I didn't like read the whole play, he brings her back and she cannot speak for 3 days. But after the 3 days, she'll be purified, mind you, that's a very interesting word, and fully restored back to life. So she couldn't talk for 3 days, he resurrects her, can't talk for 3 days, and then she's purified back to normal. Well, when he brings her back, that's when the king Michaelides says, because he's like, but why does she not speak? So what I think is interesting is, mind you, a big part of this book is after Alicia kills her husband, the only thing she does is paint one painting, and she tiles it Alcestis, who died for her husband so he could be immortal, is resurrected and can't speak until she's purified. And mind you, something else, I know we're jumping ahead here, but something else I find super interesting is, before she killed Gabriel, she had been painting him as a Jesus. Jesus died for our sins, but in 3 days was resurrected. Mm-hmm. So do you see, like, I don't think, is there a connection there? You know? Yeah. And it's all about someone's dying for someone's sins or for someone's happiness, and then they're being resurrected. You know what? You know, I'm purified. It's so interesting. I'm just like, what? You know?
First off, I don't even know how to feel, because when Theo looks into it, he kind of very briefly sums that up to just be like, yeah, essentially there's a wife that died for her husband, like she sacrificed herself. That was like made clear.
Yeah.
But the other stuff wasn't. Just the main points, but the other stuff wasn't. So that was really interesting.
Mind you, like I said, I was like really interested in this Alcestis story, so I looked into it. So right by page 7, it says, so for most people, killing her husband was enough to condemn her, but she was on house arrest for a little bit. And as I said before, she has not spoken in years. And since the day he died until 7 years or so later that we're reading, she has not said a word. So while she was on house arrest, not speaking, it says, returning to the studio so soon after Gabriel's death betrayed an extraordinary insensitivity. So meaning people who hadn't already condemned her for killing her husband, like maybe they thought, oh, she's innocent, saw her painting and this is her job. She's a painter for money professionally. So she goes right back to painting and they're like, oh, you're guilty. That's guilt. Well, I put like the servants to Admetus, he returned to hosting a guest right after wife's death. So I just wondered if there's some parallels to where the king was kind of condemned by the servants, because he went right, even after promising, I will mourn, he went right back to work. So I'm like, because I think the whole time I'm trying to think, who is she in Alcestis? Who is she in the story? Or even in Jesus dying, who is she? So that's what I was saying, is she the king? Did her husband die for her? For some reason, for her, you know what I'm saying?
When I saw Theo going into the Greek mythology, I didn't even think that she was the one that sacrificed. It seemed like he was the one. Like, that's what I immediately thought, was that something was going on in her life that we would figure out later, where he had to die for her for some reason.
Yeah. For me, because this is his debut novel, you don't know how far authors will take it. You know, you don't know how many, like J.K. Rowling with her Harry Potter books, I just love looking into them because she really like named people certain things. Okay, this part, I love this. My name is Theo Faber. I am 42 years old and I became a psychotherapist because I was effed up. But I love that. He's just like so open about being effed up, which we all are, and I just love how open he is about that. Okay, so one thing he likes to say, which I guess I don't understand, they're trying to make us understand, which is very interesting, when he's talking about his psychotherapist or psychiatrist, I don't know if she was a psychotherapist, his therapist that he went to, he was saying he would be talking to her having really no feeling about his past, because I think he did like disassociate a lot, so he would be telling her about his horrible childhood, and he said he would look up and see that Ruth had tears in her eyes, and he was like, it took me a long time to realize those were not hers, those were mine. Yeah. So he makes the point that the therapist is supposed to feel the things the patient can't. So I think that's interesting, because when he's with Alicia, like he's trying to get her feelings. Yeah. It's so interesting because I'm like, what is he gonna feel? Because oh my gosh, this is so annoying. Tell me you're not annoyed with this. Not not by the author, but I mean, when this is done, we're like, just spit it out. Because he'll be like, what was that? What did I see on her face? It wasn't anger.
Oh.
No, it was...
Oh, my next tab is on page 18. I think at this point he's done telling his story, and he's saying, you know, this is why and how I relate to Alicia Berenson. I was one of the lucky ones. So I think already at this point, we can see that I think he does genuinely want to save her, but at sometimes you can tell he's going a little too far.
Yeah.
Almost like this obsession with fixing her and saving her. Like,
and he knows it, though. That's the thing.
But I'm scared that something is just going to majorly backfire because...
Oh, for sure.
I just don't want anything. I already would give my life for Theo at this point. To see, like, how much he still really, really needs help. Especially after things happen throughout the book. I can just see him projecting that onto Alicia,
for sure.
who already needs so much help.
She's like, oh God, sorry. She's trying to draw Jesus, and she realizes that she's actually drawn Gabriel. So Jesus is on the cross. He died for our sins. And I said Gabriel equals Jesus. So what sin did Alicia hold? Everybody in this book is problematic. Like, I feel like everyone has a motive. You have her cousin Paul.
Yeah.
We find out he's a gambler. You have her brother-in-law, who...
You find out he's a creep.
He is super creepy. He assaulted her. I mean, it's really sad when you see how many people were not on her side. Besides her husband, who at this point seems like a good guy, but we still don't know. Jean-Felix. How do you say his name?
I don't even want to say it. I was saying it, Jean Felix. How about JF?
Jean.
Okay.
I say Jean. It's her art dealer, and his name is Jean.
My name is
Jean. She's known him for years. Now, we see... Did you catch this? Okay, so Theo's going around like a little private eye, and he's trying to investigate because he's like, something does not add up. Because when he sees Alicia and she doesn't have her medication, he's like, she's not crazy. Her eyes are sane. Okay, so he's going around investigating. He makes it all the way around to Jean, the art dealer, and he's talking to her. Hey, you saw her a couple of nights before. He's like, yeah. And it's like, well, he's like, I checked in on her. And he's like, how'd you get into the house?
I didn't understand that part at all.
So he's like, it said like, he paused like,
and then
what do you
said that
mean?
he realized something.
Well, listen to this. He tells him, I went into the main house, and Theo goes, oh, she wasn't working because she had art that was supposed to be done really soon. And he goes, she wasn't working? And Jean goes, no, she was in the house. Anyway, they finish up the conversation, whatever. It's always so awkward. Like, everybody he talks to, it ends so weird. Like, it's like no one's telling him everything. Okay, so then we get to Alicia's diary. Chapters later, she writes about when Jean came over, and she was in her studio, and she was working. Did you catch that? So he was lying. He did not find her in the house. She was working, and that's when we find out she was going to break up with Jean. In like, they were not together, but they were business partners, and she was tired of him. She knew he was using her. She knew he didn't care about her. He cared more about her art and the money it made him. And she was like, we're done. And Jean's always been jealous of Gabriel. And it's so funny because Alicia is so self-aware. That's why it's hard for me to even believe for a second she did it. Because she's so self-aware, and she's like, Jean is using me, and we're done. And she breaks up with him.
Yeah. At first, when we got into her diaries, I was like, I'm not... Which I guess that was just me going to the book like naively. I was like, I'm not gonna like this girl. But then as you see like everyone around her was, scummy and suffocating her. Yeah, she couldn't trust anyone around her, and she's just very self-aware. Like even with her brother-in-law, the fact that she could confront him.
At the end of the chapter with Jean, she says, or he asks her, hey, fine, you want to break up with me in business, in friendship, whatever. I bought these 2 tickets for a play that's going to be going on Friday night. Will you come with me? And she's like, yes. And he's like, okay, it's called Alcestis. So it's the play that we've been talking about and that she drew. Well, Jean is going to take her. Okay, look at this. Listen to this. No.
Just say it. Just say what you're...
Okay, Alcestis dies, so her husband, the king, can be immortal forever, what if, because Jean knows her art will go up, will live immortally, that's not a word, her art will live forever, what if he kills Gabriel somehow so that Alicia is immortal? You know what I'm saying? Like, Gabriel dies. My money right now, halfway through the book, is on Jean. Although Paul is guilty, Max is guilty, everyone's freaking guilty. Even Yuri, the creepy one that works with Alicia, he's like the one that oversees Alicia in the hospital. His name's Yuri.
Oh, yeah.
He's creepy. So, I'm just saying, everyone is weird. But I'm going to say at this point in my life, Jean is the one. Can I say one more thing? I've been talking so much. Can I say one more thing?
Yes, that's okay. It's good.
You remember how they said at the beginning that you couldn't even tell it was Gabriel because she shot his face out so much? Is it Gabriel? Do we know?
Well, you would think the coroner would figure it out.
Okay, I know. Well, let's give Alex some leeway if Gabriel's alive. We'll give him some leeway. But there are so many times I'm reading her diary and I'm just like, or it's mostly Theo actually, where I'm like, just grow some cojones, you know?
Yeah. There's, you know what's so crazy? Reading just about his life and everything he has to go through in this book, and reading about Alicia's life and everything she goes through in this book, there were so many times that I was like, I wish that Alicia and Theo, I wish that they could meet each other. Yeah. And then I realized they do know each other, but Alicia just won't talk.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they're so
broken,
so parallel.
Yeah.
And they just need someone, they need someone to truly listen to them and understand them.
Like I said, I'm trying to put all the clues together. And every time, which we find out here when Theo has his one-on-one sessions with her, we find out that she becomes enraged, like psycho, literally just like she blacks out and just wants to kill you when you say anything about her not loving her husband or that he deserved it. What's her name? Elif.
That's the other thing that I wrote down. I was like, there's only 2 times in the book that Alicia snaps.
And it's when you say,
Elif
you hated him, or he's like, you hated your husband, didn't you? Or
Elif
he
was
deserved
like, did
it.
he deserve it? And then Theo said, you must not have loved him because he killed him.
And actually, she's never spoke, but at this point, mind you, Theo on his side has a poor guy, bless his heart. He has so many issues. Fine, and you know what they say, you lose them how you get them. Or is it you get him how you lose them? Either way, when he met his current wife, and he met her while he was dating someone else, and they kind of broke it off.
And she was dating someone else.
Yeah, and then they got together. Well, now you find out his wife is cheating on him.
Yeah, that was the worst moment of my life.
What's worse is that it's Bad Boy 22 is his username.
I literally wrote in all caps when I read that. I wrote, first of all, the only thing I asked of this book is that Theo not lose Kathy. Well, surprise, surprise.
1 star.
First of all, I'm mad. Second of all, if anything happens to Ruth, I'm rioting. I'm going to attack Alex Michaelides. I think that another reason why I just couldn't stop reading this book is because the more I got into it, everything is just so mindful. Like, Alex Michaelides, he's just so mindful and thoughtful, and there's so much to chew on in this book. It's not just the story of Alicia and Theo, it's also like your story.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I just touched my mic. It's also your story. It's the reader's story. It spoke to me in so many, this book was like a little therapy session for me. It is.
And when I was reading it, I kind of was like, how is he going to touch on mental illness? Kind of, this could go left. In my own personal mind, obviously not anyone else's, but dealing with mental illness, it's like, will I be put off by it? But I think he does a great job. A great job representing the truth behind it, that you can't just snap your fingers like Theo and be cured. Yeah. He can't just listen to Ruth and just accept it. You have to go through that yourself, which is so awesome. One thing I noted is when he goes to talk to Max, and that's Gabriel's brother, and Max is just praising Gabriel. And I think this is before we realize Max is scum, because we usually learn about a character from Theo's view, and then as we're progressing in Alicia's diary, which is getting closer and closer to the days before she killed her husband, then you're kind of getting to the nitty-gritty of all these people that could have killed her. And so Max, we don't know he's a scumbag yet, but he's talking about his brother, and I just put the family of someone that's deceased always praises them. Like, there's zero faults. And that's why I was like, at this point, I was still like, Gabriel, I'm looking at you. You're not perfect in my eyes.
And then you find out that Max, like, low-key, kind of hates Gabriel.
Hates him, for sure. So there's 323 pages, so we're halfway through. So we are going to finish this book, and our next book talk will be the conclusion, which I think it's very clear at this point that me or you, we have no idea.
I don't stand anywhere. All I want is for Theo to have happiness,
to survive, Theo to
be
leave
happy,
Kathy and get with Alicia. Who's like, okay, so like I said, this is why I love doing these book talks with my sister, because she is such a little noob on thrillers and horror, and we are gonna go there this year. So our next video after this will be our 2020 anticipated reads. So we're gonna let y'all guys know the books that we're super excited that are coming out this year. Books you'll probably see us do book talks with or wrap-ups with. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We are always open to book recommendations or definitely discussions in the books we're reading. I'm sure there are so many things that people can contribute to ideas and thoughts about this book that would help us as well. So do not feel shy. Go ahead and join the Lit fam. And by join the fam, I mean really join our family, because we probably have 10 subscribers.
And they're all our family.
And there are Theo's brother, who else, husband. It's just family.
My 3 Gmail accounts. Y'all take care. We'll see y'all in the next video. We want to wish y'all a happy new year.
See you in the next video. Bye!